this is a recording now. It will be on YouTube. Actually, it's viewable on YouTube as we speak. Somehow we overlook what really matters. We overlook the jewel of presence. The precious freedom, the formless, infinite presence of consciousness. We overlook the love, we overlook the beauty, with our habitual concerns. With our identification. Unnecessary, useless identification. Identification with events, with memories, with experiences. The core identification with the body-mind. That brings no happiness whatsoever. That brings a veil, the veil of personal concern. Worry, contracted body-mind, unhappy dreams. And somehow we've grown habituated to this unhappiness, maybe even insensitive to it. Like a drunken that has become so habituated to alcohol level, high alcohol level in their blood. We've become habituated to a high level of sense of lack and separation in our space. We've grown accustomed to a sort of insensitivity and numbness. But we know better. We know the splendor of the self. The clarity of presence, the peaceful body-mind. freedom from time, freedom from past memories and mental projections of a future person. We know better, and we cannot forget. Maybe we have lapses in memory, but we cannot forget the love, the beauty, the freedom, the happiness, the joy. The peace. So the invitation is to recognize what is, not just what is in terms of what appears, but what is in terms of what does not appear. And although it does not appear, it is the reality of all that appears. What illumines all appearances. The reality that perceives right now, this perception, and yet it is not perceived as an object, as a phenomena, as a form. So the invitation is to recognize the love, the freedom, the beauty that you are, and to relax and release the old habits, to place your interest in the joy, in the beauty, and to cease to invest yourself in repetitive patterns about a separate me and a separate other. It takes courage, and yet it is very simple to be still, without limiting yourself in pursuing any limited goal, because you know very well that any goal that you seek is limited, is a mentation, is an event in time and space, and cannot deliver you the infinity, the glory, the eternity of freedom of the self. There is a tendency to rely on the mind to think, to believe that thought is the way, while the way is beyond thought. Thought arises in the way, but is not the way. The phenomenal realm arises in and out of the self. But the path to the self is a direct path that does not rely on the mind, that does not rely on experiences, that does not rely on anything. So, as yourself, I welcome you. I welcome you to yourself. I welcome you to the self. I need to send a message to Borja. Okay. Well, it should work. The link should work. Try it again. Okay. So, if you have any questions, anything you would like to explore, there are a couple of questions that somebody sent me that I wanted to go through, but we'll do that later. For now, whatever you would like to look into, whatever you like to contemplate. Hello, Ananda.
Hello.
So, Ananda, you write talk involving.
I meant the word.
The word guru, yes. The word guru tends to wig me out a bit. I can guess what wig me out may mean, but okay, wig me out a bit. Kind of like a marriage after leaving two of them well behind me. Can you say some more? Can you word your question? Can you word your question a little differently so I see if I can understand it better?
Yes, well, I'm comparing a relationship with a teacher that becomes established, and we use the word where we might use the word guru
Yes,
as like a marriage where you've thrown everything into it,
yes.
and it has that special uh, um, quality.
Okay, I think we may have a reception issue, but
There's like it's like an emotional.
Mhm.
Uh, um, I don't know. Ted, our mutual friend Ted, said some beautiful things about the relationship with a teacher and a guru, and I thought it's beautiful, but the aspect of psychological immaturity that I think I still have, the capability of making a mess out of it, and
Mhm.
any relationship that has an emotional quality to it.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, well, first, as you know, the relationship with the guru, with the teacher, is a relationship with the self, with the one self, the relationship with reality. So the
Yes.
guru appears as a person, as a friend. It is the self that is speaking, and it is the self that is appearing as a body mind. Yes, so um, and the appearance of the teacher is facilitates the relationship, because a teacher is a friend. We can recognize a teacher as similar to us, a person who has traveled, had their own experiences, their own life, and so on. And so we can relate to some aspects of the teacher's past and their current life, how they're living, what they're doing, and what they look like, how they move, how they behave, etc. So there is a body-mind relationship with the teacher that sort of facilitates the openness, that eases the openness. Of course, there has to be a certain uh, a recognition, a sympathetic relationship with the teacher, and a friendship, and a, a respect, but not, even if we place the teacher on a pedestal, the teacher will not stay on the pedestal. The teacher will not put their the people around him in on any lower level. So it's so that is not maintained when a student has a sort of an over respect for the teacher, exaggerated, then the teacher
Right.
will not maintain that, will deflate that, and bring it down to a place where it is really about the inquiry and about
Mm.
sharing the space of love, the space of presence. Yes.
Yes, because that would be about that over respect, whatever you want to call it, pedestal would be a boundary,
Yes.
an unnecessary boundary.
Absolutely. It's completely unnecessary, because consciousness has no boundaries. It's not my consciousness or your consciousness. My consciousness shines more than your consciousness, or your consciousness shines more than my consciousness. It's not like that. A consciousness is boundaryless presence. Yes, it's love and it's
Mm.
freedom, and we all know it. We all know it. It's just that we we have to various degrees, we suffer from some form of amnesia, and to various degrees we are uh, recovering from the
Yes.
from the amnesia, yes, from
Yeah.
the forgetfulness.
Mm.
So, so there is a simplicity in the relationship with the guru, and of course, the respect for the guru comes out of the recognition of the self, and we are respecting the guru is 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 part of the openness. You know, it's like you respect somebody if you're a violin player or flute player, somebody who who loves the flute like to the extent that you do, and loves the music and loves the art and loves the creativity. You love them, and you look at them for friendship, for guidance, for experiencing the art together, and of course getting some pointers
Mm-hmm.
for the art that you love. Yeah. So it's like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's that simple.
Now, here's the real essence, probably, of my inquiry on this right now is one may know many true rishis after 30, 40 years on this path. I've met quite a few people who I consider a rishi, a seer, you know, and anybody who has more clarity than I do on this path, on this subject, call it, I consider a mentor. You know, just like I would any more accomplished flute player.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So that's that's very honorable. Um, but every every flute player has something that you can learn from them, and something that you can admire in them, and something that you can enjoy in them. But at some point in developing your own art, your
Yeah.
own perfection, you will find yourself somehow working with a particular school, a particular teacher, a particular style.
Yes.
It's just
In India,
how it
a guru.
unfolds. Yeah, it's how it unfolds. It's, you know, your love. Of course, you love it all. You love the entire art, and you will find yourself as part of the ripening of your love, that of your enjoyment. At some point, you will find yourself in a more a particular relationship. Now, it is important that although you may enjoy the entire field,
Mm-hmm.
that when you are touched in a particular way,
Mm-hmm.
that you do not discard that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that you do not put it on the back burner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know your example was great about studying music, and then you go to different master classes with different people coming through town or whatever. But then you find somebody who, oh, that's exactly my expression. You know what I mean? That this is where my expression is going. This is where, yeah, I got your analogy was very good. Thank you.
Okay, Ananda.
It may be a little bit like I'm theoretically polyamorous, meaning, you know what I mean by the term?
Yes.
But I could have many loves, but as soon as when I actually have a love, it's a different story. So it's the theory the theory disappears, and the opening to the situation that's real comes.
Well,
I don't know if that's just another analogy. I guess.
all, all your loves, your polyamorous, your polyamorousness, if it takes you to the source,
Mm-hmm.
and rather than into experiences,
Yes, diffuse experience.
if it returns you, it's really not a return because I am that, but as a matter of speech, if it reveals the source rather than the branches, if it brings you to the trunk and the roots rather than up to the branches and the infinite leaves, then it's a correct direction.
Right. Exactly. Love of truth and true love of spaciousness and all that is really the guidepost, I think.
Yes, when you say love for truth, the first word in that term is love. And the last word is truth, which is love. So love for truth is just pure love. It's just love. And love doesn't go anywhere. Love is. It's isness. So love is isness, is beingness, is a recognition of beingness. It's the beingness recognizing its infinity and eternity and its universality. So then the isness is established, the love is established and ceases to be dispersed in the perceived. It's a return to the source rather than to the senses, via the senses to the world, body, mind. It is all love, of course, but the joy is when it all comes to the source. And the dispersion is when it explodes into particles that seem to be distinct.
Right. 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 It's a yeah, it might have something to do with maturity, maturity in the whole process.
Yeah, we're all maturing, on the path. We're all sort of in terms of what's arising for us. There is a contemplation of what's arising, what is going on in our sleep, in our dream states, matters that trouble us, matters that call our attention. They invite us to contemplation, and it is always the contemplation of what is the peace that does not come and go, what is the tranquility that does not come and go, where is the happiness that does not come and go, that is not dispersed. So there is a maturity that comes naturally out of our love and out of our dedication to the path. And it's the impression of personal gain is what starts to shift, starts to dissolve, starts to loosen its carapace, its borders. So the personal, the sense of personhood and personal achievements and personal progress, the the actual ripening is the personal impression that just sort of becomes broader and broader and broader, and embraces everything and everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Resisting the temptation to put this, what you've just said, in my own words, which is something that I do so often. That I hear what you say.
Okay, that's
So
good. It's good to resist. Sometimes to resist those tendencies. You're welcome.
Right. To be able to be in stillness and not just always go.
Yeah, it's also a recognition of the stillness that is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything arises in stillness. Without stillness, without spaciousness, without peace,
Mm-hmm.
without infinity, or no impressions that arise. So all impressions that arise out of the infinity, arise out of the stillness that is. And when I say they arise out of it, I don't mean they arise out of it, away from it. They arise out of it like a night dream arises out of the dreamer, but they're not actually arising out of the dreamer. They're inherent. Inherent. Their reality is the dreamer. They're not separate. So it's not an arising out of in a dualistic term, in a dualistic meaning, in a dualistic sense. It's just a language.
Mm-hmm.
Like heat arises out of the fire, but doesn't really arise out of it. It's an inherent quality of fire, or the light of the sun. The light doesn't arise out of the sun. It's an inherent aspect of the sun. So same, the world, body, mind is an inherent aspect of consciousness. It doesn't separately of it. So everything you perceive, you sense, you know, you experience is inherent aspect of consciousness. It's inherent to consciousness. And the entire spiritual journey is about realizing the reality is the reality that is what belongs to consciousness, and not to anything else, not to a world, body, mind. And that you are this reality, you meaning you, consciousness, you as the self. Not you as a body, mind, you as the self, as you are this reality, the I am, I, reality, beingness, awareness. Satchitananda, bliss.
Gee, it's like I'm just amazed. It seems like some new, a new thing comes to me every time I talk with you. It just kind of amazes me. And in this case, it's a whole idea of dispersion. You know, of a separate personal me, and I'm going like this, and keeping all that intact, and then.
Well, dispersion is just an impression. If you look at dispersion really closely, you will find that dispersion is an impression that arises in awareness. So it's as if the electrons that constitute the atom as if they're dispersed, but they're part of the entire molecule. So the impression of dispersion is mostly a sensation, a bodily sensation. That creates an impression of bits and pieces. But this impression of bits and pieces is connected to another let's say recognition of our wholeness, because the bits and pieces, they jolt the system, but the way they jolt the system is because there are contradictions to our wholeness. So when there are bits and pieces that arise, our wholeness tries to bring them back together. But the erroneous direction is to try to bring them back together by pulling them in. It's easier to bring them together by letting them go.
And that's the I call it body work from John Klein, but
yes, by letting them go, they go into the wholeness.
Yeah,
they come together in the wholeness.
Yeah,
but the impression of dispersion is an impression. It's a game of consciousness, you could say, to disperse itself and to imagine that it is true, real dispersion, because it's not really a dispersion. Imagine the flares of the sun. The sun flares, and it seems as if it's dispersing. The light is dispersing itself out of the sun, but in fact, it's not. It's all the sun. It doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. So the impression that the self is dispersing itself, and that, oh my goodness, I'm going in all bits and pieces, is that's in a way it's ignorance, because it's a release of the sunlight into the space, into the infinite space, right? So the sun doesn't hold on to its rays, to its light. It just shines. I mean, I'm speaking metaphorically. Same thing, the self sort of shines. So when there is an impression of dispersion, then you go, yeah. You go, yeah. You see? You don't go, oh my God, what's happening to me? I need to recover.
Yes. It sounds like so much of spiritual life. I think of the monasteries and everybody, like I need to pull in.
Yes.
And that's because there's still such a nucleus of a person who's trying to be at peace or free or something.
Right. Yes.
And this is a way to be not a person and not limited.
Yes, right. The self is not a person, it's not limited. That's the reality of consciousness. So just a simple recognition of the reality of consciousness, then all attempts at fixing the body-mind would be seen to be superfluous.
Well, the one thing that you've done for me that's really over the top is I have this sense of at any moment, no matter what's going on, there's there really is the choice, so to speak, of peace in
Yes.
like,
Yes.
whatever
Absolutely.
comes in the mail, whatever
Absolutely.
happens on the road,
Yeah.
etc.
That's honoring your innate freedom and happiness and love and beauty. That you will not compromise it.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't compromise it. It's you recognize that and you honor that. You don't subject it. You don't make it subjective to anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you live that way. You live according to that understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very powerful path.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ananda, thank you for your questions. So if there is any question, hello, Sarah. So, Sarah, you're right. Is the best way to deal with the resistance to embrace it? For example, resistance to work, to chores, to pain. There are two directions to approach resistance, Sarah. Two paths in a way. They're not that different, but I would still speak of them as two different paths, but they're not really that different because each one has some of the other. One of the paths is to contemplate, to explore, to investigate who is resisting, what is resistance. Not just to sort of say, yes, yes, I'm resisting work, I'm resisting chores, I'm resisting this and that. You have to contemplate what is it that is resisting. To, to find what is this resistor? Because you're experiencing a resistance, which refers to someone or something resisting something else. So you know that, you know what you are talking about. But you have to go into it. You have to go deeper than just, oh, I'm resisting the chores, I'm resisting life, I'm resisting work. What is it that is, what is this I that you're referring to as an experience that is resisting? And what is resistance? That's a path of inquiry. It's a very powerful path. And you have the guidance of friends to help you in this inquiry, to share with you this inquiry. But it has to be out of your interest. You have to be interested in knowing what is this I that is resisting. Is it an old habit? So what is a habit? What is a habit? Is it a thought? Is a habit a thought? Is it a thought that's arising that says, I don't want to go to work, or I don't want to drive in traffic? So is it a thought that we call resistance? Is it a feeling? Is it a feeling that some sort of contraction that you refer to as I am resisting? It may be a feeling that verbally you formulate as I am resisting work, or I'm resisting this or that. And if it's a feeling, ask yourself, what is it arising to? And does a feeling resist anything? A feeling is an appearance. It's a bodily sensation with thought. It's an appearance. So could it be that we're referring to resistance as some thoughts and sensations? Does a thought resist? Does a sensation resist? What is resistance? Anyways, that's one of the paths, the contemplation of what is resistance, what is it that resists, to get to peel the onion, and not to simply stay on the surface. Oh yeah, I am resisting, there's a lot of resistance in my life has been resistance, or resisting this and that's just surface conversation. It does not lead to any understanding. Now, the other approach towards resistance is to locate in the body, where is this resistance? How does it appear? At the feeling level. To recognize where it is, what it looks like, at the body level, at the sensation level. It's a silent recognition. And to do so without any intention, without an intention to fix it, to relieve it, to free it, no intention. Simply to locate it. And to recognize around the sensation, let's say it's in your chest, the space that is available, the space of awareness that is available at the sensory level. And to allow the sensation to relax and release and expand in the space. Without trying to fix anything, without any personal intention. It may seem difficult to do so, to remain with a bodily sensation, especially when it's not a happy one, maybe a scary one. But nothing will happen to you. But the impression of danger will diminish. The sense of impending doom, something is going to happen to me, or something is happening to me, will diminish as you repeat this yoga as often as you can, in whichever way you can, without judging yourself, without impatience and without measurement. Just the simple recognition that a resistance is a bodily sensation that you can locate in the body and is surrounded with the infinite space of awareness. And the space of awareness has no borders, and the bodily sensation equally has no borders. So you have these both options available to you, and you can explore them whichever way it resonates for you, Sarah. Okay, I hope this answers your question. During the retreats, and also whenever people come to meet, I sometimes share these. I'm going to read a question that was sent to me. It's a very brief question. The question is it true that by concentrating the mind, one can achieve anything they wish? who is it that wants to achieve or that achieves? What is it to achieve something? And who is it that achieves? There has to be somebody that achieves something in order for the question to make any sense. Then, if there is somebody that achieves something, then we can say, okay, well, we apply the mind, we do this, we do that, and I achieve something. But what is it that achieves something? It has to be some entity that achieves something, an experience, a state, a worldly goal, etc. So what is this entity? Consciousness is not an entity. Consciousness is presence, intelligence, wisdom, freedom, beauty, love, and that lacks nothing. That is not trying to achieve anything via mind practices or via mantra chanting or bowing to the sun, sun dance, whatever. That is not pertaining to consciousness. What does it pertain to? This achieving something. What is it that you are? If it is you that is hoping that via some mind concentrations and mind practices that you achieve all what you want, what is this you that you take yourself to be? Are you a person? And what is this person? What is the person? If there is a person, then there must be a person right now. What is the person right now? Right now, this consciousness that perceives this perception. It may perceive a hand, it may perceive a thought, it may perceive a perception, bodily sensation. What are you? Are you a conglomeration of bodily sensations, or a conglomeration of thoughts, or a conglomeration of memories that you refer to as this person? Or are you the consciousness that is borderless presence, complete freedom, that is not lacking or seeking anything via any mind practices? So I wouldn't, what is the expression, bark down that tree, or I wouldn't go down that path. Bark the wrong tree, bark the wrong tree, or something like that.
Bark up the wrong tree.
Bark up the wrong tree.
The squirrel's in the other tree, but you're barking up this one.
Oh yes, oh that's what it is. Oh, now I get it. Yes, I wouldn't go barking the wrong tree. The squirrels are not on that tree. And leave the squirrels alone. Why do you want to bark after them anyways? You can play with your toy. Okay, so that's that question. If there is anybody else who has anything they would like to explore.
Magdi.
Oh, yes, yes.
This is John.
Hello, John. Hello, John.
Good evening.
Yes.
Uh, um, I- I've been listening, and I'm hearing tonight. Uh, well, my question would be, when you were mentioning feelings, I've explored this in a different kind of way, which might be more of a way they might do in a therapeutic setting or something like that, but is to uh, take feelings and use them as a GPS, so to speak, because they have some kind of meaning, or they reveal more about what I want or need rather than um, putting it on the external, um, and therefore I can do for myself rather than depend on others to fix my problems or do what I need them to do to have better feelings. However, I'm hearing the many times that you're sharing about feelings, I'm hearing what sounds like um, uh, just allowing them to be. Um, all things lead to the self, so or all leads to the self, and so there's only the one real contemplation, I guess, is the self. Those are my words. I don't know if those would be the words that you would use or somebody else would use in non-duality, but that's what I'm hearing tonight. Instead of all my mathematical equations on where to go, how to get to, including spiritual, including non-duality, instead of all of that, I mean, they're there and they're sort of games to play, or they could be even interesting. But somehow I'm getting the message that the real purpose of it is the self, is to know what I am. Is that true?
Yes, that is really what you deeply desire. What your heart deeply desire is this this complete self-knowingness, where you cease to sort of, you know, the clarity settles, clarity that of what I truly am, and that what perceives the reality of the self, the reality of the I am, is this already shining, already luminous aware presence that perceives all perceptions, that perceives feelings, that perceives thoughts. That's already, it's not perceived, but it's perceiving. It's not an object that is perceived like a feeling or sensation, but it is the reality that perceives, the reality that is. And I am that, meaning you, the one I, is this reality, is that. So in terms of feelings, rather than feelings pertain to a person, how I'm feeling about myself, I'm feeling about this, I'm feeling about you, I'm feeling about how I was feeling, how I will be feeling. It's a circumstantial unfolding that pertains to a person, rather than be concerned about the thoughts of this person, the bodily sensation that we refer to as this person, and the story that we refer to belonging to this person, and the feelings of this person, who in the non-duality, in our interest in truth, in Advaita, we go directly to the reality, to what we know to be true. Real means real across time and space. Has to be real now, has to be real 1,000 years from now, has to be real this morning. And what is real is not the changing feelings. What is real is the consciousness that hears these words right now. It's the same consciousness that was perceiving a toothache yesterday, that was perceiving a feeling. There is an unchanging, eternal quality to consciousness, while there is a constantly changing, impermanent quality to feelings. Feelings pertain to a person. And if you're interested in fixing your feelings, you're interested in fixing the person. There are two things. First, I tell you good luck. Good luck. But before I even tell you good luck, I tell you, please don't go that way. Don't go that path. That's an endless path. Simply allow the feelings, recognize the feelings, to be bodily sensations with a story, a me story, meaning thought. You have to find out for yourself, John, that what you refer to as feeling, go into it. What is a feeling? Just stop when you're having feeling and ask yourself, what is a feeling? I want to know the full enchilada about the feeling right now. And you're going to come upon some bodily sensations, maybe in your belly, maybe in your chest, maybe in your face, plus some thoughts. Thoughts about me, him, her, whatever. That's what we call a feeling. A feeling is a bodily sensation with a me story. But it does not pertain at all to consciousness. That is perceiving those thoughts, that is perceiving those bodily sensations. You see? The recognition is not the recognition, oh, this feeling pertains to that thought, and that thought pertains to this feeling, and that and this. It's endless. There are endless feelings, endless thoughts. There is one reality. The reality of consciousness. And that reality doesn't depend on a thought, on a feeling, on a body sensation. It's not contained, it's not limited, it has no conditions that apply to it. Just explore that for yourself. Because you are consciousness, you have all the tools you need for the contemplation are available to you. Like they're available to all of us. You can explore that for yourself and find out, is the consciousness that right now, whatever it is that perceives this perception, is it contained? Is it my experience? My experience, not my belief, not my feeling, my experience. That this consciousness that perceives this perception right now is contained inside any container. And if it is, then you need to find its beginning and its end. You can look at your hand and say, well, there is a beginning to this finger. It begins here, and I guess we can say it ends here. That is my experience. That's what I refer to as the index. But consciousness, when you contemplate consciousness, where do you find any beginning to it, or any direction to it, or any end to it, or any limit to it, or any phenomenal quality to it? And although you do not find any phenomenal quality to consciousness, you cannot deny its reality. You see? You cannot deny the I am. You cannot deny awareness. It's self-knowing. It's an old habit. to be concerned about me, the images, my feelings, the others, and how am I doing, where am I going. It's an old habit of mistaking yourself, meaning mistaking consciousness, to be a body-mind event.
Well, I do hear all that, and that comes and goes. Yet there's still the thoughts that say it's sort of a juggling act, because I go to work, there's family, there's this, there's that, and for some reason I keep these thoughts keep coming up, and I think the answer is probably spontaneity, but especially with self.
Consciousness doesn't go to work.
Yeah.
Maybe you could say the body goes to work, the body-mind goes to work, but consciousness doesn't go to work. You could say that consciousness is the manager of the body-mind, but the manager of the body-mind doesn't go to work. The body-mind goes to work. So what? The body-mind, is just what it does. It takes in oxygen, it breaks it down, and takes in food and oxygenate with the oxygenation, digests the food. It does what it does. The body-mind goes to work, but you don't. It's an old belief that you go to work. You don't go anywhere. As consciousness, you don't go anywhere. The body does. But you're not the body, you're the knower. When I say you're not the body, meaning you're not limited to a body. Everything is you, but you're not any particular thing. So as long as you're taking yourself to be a body-mind, you're in trouble. Because the body-mind is mortal and subject to all sorts of conditions. If you drink a cup of tea that's too hot, you burn your tongue and it takes you 4 days to recover. Or if you eat the wrong food, you get food poisoning, you're sick for 4 days. If you take yourself to be the body-mind, you're in trouble. If the body-mind doesn't get a raise, you think, oh my God, I didn't get a raise. And you take yourself to be the body-mind and you're miserable. Consciousness is complete freedom. Doesn't depend on a raise, doesn't depend on a job, doesn't depend on the weather. Everything depends upon it. This is why the teaching is know yourself. You see? Know your true self, not mistake yourself to be John.
So, Magdi, then would you say that, I mean, my experience has been when that appears for me and is present for me, it seems like then actions come that are more spontaneous, because that's really where it seems like the difficulty is that if I know myself, which is not the body, the mind, and so forth and so on.
Yes, consciousness is spontaneous, is spontaneity. Meaning it responds out of pure presence. It means it responds out of transparency. It perceives, there is clarity, and it responds. When there is no clarity, it's just still waiting, gathering more information. And when all the pieces come together, the last piece of the puzzle, there is action.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has no concern about a me. It's just strictly perceiving. Oops, it's cloudy. Looks like maybe rain. Okay, so you get the raincoat because you're gonna go out.
Mm.
It's cold and so on, and so it brings some wood and starts a fire in the fireplace. It's presence, and it's spontaneous action that corresponds to the situation, as the situation is revealing itself. The situation that reveals itself includes the internal perception, meaning some preferences, and maybe some preferences, some the sense that, okay, I have a feeling that I should not trust this guy. He's trying to sell me these rotten tomatoes. You see, you get a feeling that not sure. So you respect that. In other words, it includes your the information you're gathering is not simply external; it's also internal. And so spontaneity meaning acting out of presence. Not trying to be spontaneous. Okay, let me go right now. Let me go left. No, it's not like that. It's not an intentional spontaneity. It is a natural spontaneity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And what it appears to be to me is that the me, they're still trying to get back to have the me use that, or to just like everything else. And so how to better my life, or how to better relationships, or how to whatever to get more comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it is.
No, I mean the me. What is the me?
Yeah.
What it's the me is whatever you want it to be. What is it that you want? What is it that you're making the me? What is this me that you're talking about? Are you talking about the body? Are you talking about the mind? Are you talking about the memories? Are you talking about your history? What are you doing with the history of the body mind? What are you talking? What is this me you're talking about?
That's true. And where is it going?
Yes, the thought says, what are we talking about? It's all thoughts. It's thoughts and sensations.
Yeah.
No, if you take yourself to be some thoughts and sensations and memories, you're in La La Land. You don't try to fix the thoughts and the sensations. You manage as best you can the body. Okay, needs food, needs relaxation, needs companionship, etc. You cater to that as best you can, but you're not the body. You're not the mind. You cater to it as best you can, but without identification.
Yeah.
You maintain your freedom. You don't compromise your freedom for anything. Why do you want to compromise your freedom for a mortal body-mind? You know it's mortal. You know that thoughts are endless. They arise a dime a dozen. Why do you want to identify with any set of them? Why do you want to limit yourself? You're limitless.
Well, yes, and even when you say these things like don't compromise, who is that? Don't compromise this, don't do this and do that, and yet, you know, um, uh, what's happening for me is that after a while, I mean, I think that does happen in that sense, but after a while, um, this spontaneity is more. I'm going to use this. More prevalent, and then there's not even thoughts of I don't have to compromise. It just happens. I don't. In other words, there'll be less because it's the person who says I don't want to compromise just because I want this and I want my who I truly am, and so it's already divided, you know, in a sense.
Yeah, well, you know,
Separated.
any personal want limits you. Except if you consider it to be a game. You know, I want to learn about cooking. I want to develop my cooking skills. Why not? But it's a want that you consider it with your happiness doesn't depend on it. You consider it out of your freedom. Not love that. You may learn about cooking, or you may end up learning about playing the guitar. Who knows? You follow? But it's your happiness doesn't depend on any of that. You play. It's a garden. The world, body, mind is a garden. The world is a garden for you to play, to contemplate the self and to play, but not to limit yourself. As soon as you make your happiness contingent or dependent on anything, John, you're not playing a fun game. Because what if what you achieve in the world doesn't turn out to, first, if you don't achieve it, then your happiness is you're still chasing it. And if you achieve it, then it dissolves on you, it breaks out on you, then your happiness is broken and dissolves. Hello. You see?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So you remain as your freedom. You remain as consciousness. Consciousness is already complete freedom. Right?
Yeah, I hear that when you say it, and sometimes I know that it seems to be really there.
Beautiful. Yes.
And yet I think, so I let it go as it's still a body-mind habit. It's a habit.
Yes. Okay, it's a habit. But keep in mind one thing, John. Consciousness is not it's not a mind experience. Consciousness is the reality that perceives. It already is wholeness and completeness. Yes?
Yes.
Not something, not a mind experience, not a smoking a big joint, you know, not that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Thank you.
Okay, John, thank you, John. Okay, before we go, Ananda says, I am Satsang sponge, which would like to be fully saturated. You are that. You are fully saturated. Consciousness is fully saturated. It's fully saturated with itself. Consciousness is all saturated with consciousness. What else? It's wholeness already. It's everything is saturated with consciousness. Everything is 1,000,000% saturated with consciousness. Is consciousness. No, really, I am consciousness, not a sponge. Okay, all right, everybody. Thank you very much for your lovely company. Best to you all. See you again soon.
Thank you.
Hello, Isaac. Hello, Isaac. Yeah, I didn't see you. Nice. Okay, Maru, beautiful. Marjorie, John, everybody. And
beautiful
Sheila,
answers.
everybody, all of you, very beautiful. Okay.
Thanks, Magdi.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.